What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the fighting game tutorial series, we are going to be going over improving our player profile. And the way we're going to do it this time is by actually highlighting the proper tab that we are on. As we switch between them, I'm on statistics, that's what I start on when I come into the player profile, but if I move over to achievements, I want achievements to be highlighted. We don't actually have a match history tab yet, so it's going to have to stay like this for now. But when we implement the match history tab, it'll be a simple update to transfer over to that tab as well, but I can then transfer between these two freely. The player is updated on what tab they're currently in, and of course the information updates based on what we set in the last episode. Additionally, I'm able to go back or return using the back button, or by actually selecting the back button with the mouse, so we can exit out of the profile and resume our gameplay like normal, like we would expect. There's one other thing I want to do during this episode, and it is an important one. We are going to move over the behavior in the player profile widget to the profile statistics widget. That way the individual widgets all handle their own behavior. This is a much more modular design, and it opens it up to us adding more things to the player profile in the future. If you are interested in implementing the player profile like you see here in this episode, then you can click this icard in the top right corner right here. This icard is the first episode of profiles where we set up all of our profile behavior. This is what we're building off of. We're going to keep using that logic in today's episode. If you're interested in watching the entire series, then I'll link you to the entire fighting game playlist right here, which is updated every Sunday. You can check out how we've done everything from our profiles to our combat. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series, but we're working in the widgets today. We only need to work in the blueprints. The first thing that I want to do is update our player profile. So if we go into the player profile here, for me, that is in blueprints, widgets, menus, player profile. So design-wise, nothing has changed. I can go straight into the graphs. In the previous episode, we implemented a function called update current category. Essentially, we took the direction that the player was trying to move, either to the left or right tab, the statistics, the achievement, the match history, those tabs. We displayed the proper widget by looking at the widgets in the widget switcher. So if we were on the first index, we were displaying the profile statistics widget. If we're in the second index, we were displaying the achievement list widget. That was all handled in this function. I want to add some new behavior to the end of this function to actually update our tabs at the top of the widget to display the proper data. Again, statistics will be highlighted, and it'll actually be blue in my case if we're on that page. If we're on the achievements page, I want the achievements tab to be highlighted in blue. So again, at the end of update current category, I've added new behavior for today's episode. First thing we want to do is grab all the tabs available to us. So each one of these tabs should be a variable. I have statistics category button, which is a variable, achievements category button, which is a variable, and match history category button, which is a variable. If you have others, make sure they are variables as well. That way we can access them in the graph. Now I'm going to grab each of these. So again, statistics, get, achievements, get, and match history, get. I'm going to add them all to a container by calling make array. Then I can add the number of pins that I need to fit all the buttons, so I need 2 more. So I'm going to add 2 pins, and I'm going to plug them all in. Then I get this array, which is a container of all of the buttons or all my tabs on this widget. I'm going to drag off my array here and type for each loop. This is going to go through every element of this array, so we're going to start at index 0. And what we're going to do is use the array element and set the style on this individual tab or button, whatever we're calling it, based on if it is the widget that the player is currently on. So we can call set style. We're going to use the bottom one here, the raw one, where we say variables appearance set style. And I'm going to split this struct pin by right clicking on it and selecting split struct pin. Now we can set the style of the button. The style is what it looks like. So essentially we can change its color from this gray color to our blue color that we want to display, like you saw in the player profile when I was running it earlier. We can handle all of these cases if we want to. We are going to handle the style normal in this case. So I'm going to right click on style normal and split the struct pin again. Now I get this node here. And this is what you see here. That's these nodes that I have highlighted. To know what we want to set the style to, we have to determine the array index, because the array index tells us which element in the array we are currently looping through. I put these tabs in the same order that they are in the design view, so statistics is first, achievements is second, match history is third. If we are on index 0 of the widget switcher, we are on the statistics category button. In the previous episode, we were handling the widget switcher by setting the active index. So if we know we're at a given index, specifically the active widget index from the profile widget switcher, then we can determine if this tab is currently selected or not. If it's selected, we want to make it blue. If it's not selected, we're going to make it gray. So I'm going to take my profile widget switcher, active widget index, and I have reroute nodes here, but you can drag right off of it and type equal, or just 2 equal signs, and we want this equal operator here. And we are going to compare and see if it's equal to the array index of the for loop. Then we're going to drag off the return of that and bring it into a branch. Now you'll have all these nodes here. The first case is if the branch returns true. Essentially, the active widget index is the same as the index that we're currently looking at as far as the tabs go. So this is the proper tab for the widget we are seeing. If that's the case, we want to turn that tab blue to indicate to the player that this is the active tab. So in our set style, I'm leaving pretty much everything alone. The main thing I'm changing is the style normal image. I want to change this to my hovered variation or my blue variation. For me, that is button P1 hover var1. And now it will show up as blue for the active tab. However, we also need to be able to reset inactive tabs. So if we switch off a tab, it should go back to gray. That is handled in the false part of this branch. So you'll see this array element from the for loop goes into this set style. And then I have another set style right below it for the false of the branch. This set style is setting the style normal image to button var1. Button var1 is my gray button, or my inactive tab. Now, that's actually all I need to do to get these to display properly when moving. But there's some improvements we can make as well. So we can go to our style hovered, right below style normal image, and split that struct pin as well. And this means if we hover it with our mouse, it will show up as a certain color. And so you can pick the color of the style that you want. So I can do button P1 hover var1 if I want. And actually, I don't want to make these the same image. I could, but really I should make this the button P1 selected and hovered, or SAH. Basically, if we are selecting this tab or this button with the gamepad or controller, and then I select it with my mouse, it gives it another little outline here. So there you go, you can see that effect working. The other buttons won't work with hover, so we need to adjust this. Now, let me organize this a little bit. Just clean this up. Perfect. So now our bottom case, where we were resetting the style to the normal style, we can right-click the style hovered on that, split the struct pin. And here I want to set my button hovered image to button P1 hover var1. It's not selected and hovered, so we can use our standard image, and the result of that is this. So if we hover over the selected one, it gets this blue outline, but if we hover over one that is not currently selected, it's just the standard blue color. Clicks need to be updated, or pressed inputs need to be updated. So we can also look at the style pressed right below that style hovered image and split that struct pin one more time. I will organize it. And the style pressed image can be whatever you want. I'm going to set it to button P1 selected. This is a gray background with a blue outline just to show that it has been selected or pressed. So if I go to the profile, I go to statistics, and I click on it, it does that effect. And now I know that it is working. We have to do it for these other buttons as well now. So if I go to my bottom one, and I split the style pressed, split struct pin, I can go to my style pressed image. At this point, I'm going to select, say, button P1 selected again. That way, when we come in here to the profile, if I select this one with my mouse and click it, I get this effect here. So now these are working as intended. We are good to go. There is one other nice thing we can add here, which are the sound effects for the press and the hover. I do have sound effects for these. The very bottom of the style is style press sound, style hovered sound. Right click and split the struck pin for the hovered. And you can do the same for the pressed. And you can select your sounds in here. We actually set this up in the versus pause menu to have sound effects for these, and I want to stay consistent. I'm going to go to my display hovered selection function here and use the same one. So press sound is confirm 1 and the hovered sound is tick. So press sound is confirm 1, hovered sound is tick. And we want to do this for the other case as well. Split both these struck pins. And press sound is confirm 1. Hovered sound is tick. And there we go. That is update current category. If we go into our game now, go to the profile, we should be able to hover these and hear the sound. And same for clicking on them or pressing them. Perfect. Let's go back to our event graph and clean up the back button behavior. So this is my event construct. Everything you see in here already existed from previous episodes except this end bit. What I want to do is listen for an input action on my keyboard or controller that is going to return from the profile page. Similarly to how we handled left input and right input, we want to be able to return from a page just by pressing an input on the input device and not necessarily selecting the back button with our mouse. So we can call another listen for input action here. And I can pass in the action name, which is going to be return P1. I know this because if I go to edit project settings and then go to my input section, look at my action mappings, I have one called return P1, and it has backspace on the keyboard as well as the gamepad face button right. So if I'm on a controller like an Xbox controller, it's going to be the B button. So return P1 goes in as the action name. It's going to occur on the press, so i.e. pressed is fine. Consume means it will stop other widgets from hearing that input. You don't need to do that here the way we set it up. It's fine to ignore it. Then it has a callback. A callback is what's going to happen when this input action is triggered, in this case pressed. So we're going to drag off and type add custom event. We can call it whatever we want. In this case, I called it return to main menu. Now, I actually already handled this behavior for on press of the button. So if I click the back button, it was returning me to the main menu. It was playing a custom sound effect and removing this widget from the parent. That's all we want to do if this input action is pressed as well. So I just combine the logic. If you already have this on press back button event, like we set up earlier in the series, you can do that. Otherwise, feel free to just add these two nodes. Custom play sound 2D is one we set up in the series. And remove from parent is one that you can call on any widget to remove it from the viewport. That way it doesn't exist anymore. Additionally, I am calling update current category, that function that we were just editing. The reason I'm calling this is because when we come into the profile for the first time, update current category won't be called, so nothing will be highlighted up top if we don't call this function. We need to call this function. So call update current category. You don't have to pass anything into target because target is self, and direction was being used as -1 or 1 to determine if it was left or right. In this case, we don't want to actually move it. I just want to update the UI. So I'm going to leave direction as 0, and essentially nothing will happen. Now when we come in here, it will start out with statistics highlighted, which is exactly what we want. Now the last thing I want to do is update my player profile bindings. So I have some bindings on player profile here for get matches played text, get matches won text, get highest win streak text, get favorite character text, get favorite stage text. These are 5 bindings that actually fill out the statistics portion of this page. However, the profile should not be the one worried about this anymore. It should be our profile statistics widget that we created. So we should go to the profile statistics. This widget right here, go into the graph, and first things first, we are going to need to follow our player profile behavior. So we were grabbing our base game instance and calling determine favorite character and determine favorite stage. Well, we can actually copy this directly. So copy it from your player profile, every node I have here, bring it to profile statistics and paste it. This is going to paste in pretty well. You won't have your same variables that we had because we have to make them. So you'll see in player profile we had a game instance ref, which was an object reference of base game instance. We had a favorite character index, which was an integer, and we had a favorite stage index, which was an integer. Okay, so in our profile statistics, we can right-click on each of these variables and create them as variables in here. And then our functions will work fine, and everything will work fine. So now we have our chain of logic. This was happening in player profile in event construct. So we want to copy event construct, put this in here. And now event construct of profile statistics is doing what event construct of player profile was minus the inputs. That means I can remove everything that we just transferred over, which will make profile statistics a lot easier to work with and player profile a lot easier to work with as well. So there we go. That is player profile. Now you can see the entire graph in this window. We also need to copy all these functions. So get matches played text. You can actually copy the entire function. So if you go to player profile, copy get matches played text, go to profile statistics, go to the functions, right click and paste it, paste function. It will show up here. And honestly, it's going to work perfectly fine because we even have the variables and everything. So I want to copy all 5 of these functions that I had in here, paste them in profile statistics. Make sure it compiles and saves. All of our logic is accurate. We can now go back to player profile and let's go to things that we had hidden in the previous episode, which is essentially everything that was on profile statistics. We hid these so we didn't have duplicates. So player profile does not need profile name, profile picture, profile title, matches played text, matches won text, highest win streak text, favorite character text, or favorite stage text, because those are all in the profile statistics widget now. That means we can delete every single one of these. So I'm just going to go through it. And there we go. It still looks the same because all that information is held on profile statistics. Everything's been transferred over, but we need to reassign the bindings. So let's go to each of our text boxes because those are the only ones we bound so far. So matches played text. We have our content section with the text here. We should bind this to get matches played text. It's being slightly cut off by my recording viewport, but it's this one right here, get matches played text. We want to do this for all of these. So matches won text is going to be get matches won text. Highest win streak text is going to be get highest win streak text. Favorite character text is going to be get favorite character text. And favorite stage text is going to be get favorite stage text. We can compile and save. Now everything has been transferred over, so if we are to launch this, go into our profile statistics should actually be filled out correctly, and we can navigate it and switch between the widgets and return just like we always want to. At this point we can go back to our profile widget and we can remove the old stuff that we don't need anymore. So we can go to the graph and we can look at our functions here, our get matches played text, matches won text, highest win streak text, favorite character text, favorite stage text. Just delete all those functions. Once all of them are deleted, you can also delete the 3 variables that we moved over to the profile statistics widget, which is the game instance ref, the favorite character index, and the favorite stage index. Anyway guys, that's all I got for you today, so I hope you enjoyed this improvement to your profile widget. If you did, please subscribe. It does more for myself and the channel than anything else, and I just really appreciate it. If you're looking to support the channel more and get benefits along the way, you can go ahead and check out the Patreon tiers, the YouTube membership tiers, and the Discord subscription tiers that a lot of you kind souls already have, so thank you. I am very, very grateful. If you had any issues with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. I'd be happy to help you, and that is completely free. That's all I got, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.